FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Again, why teeth? Well, you already have the answer. Many of you know about, I'd argue all of you know about tree rings, right? When you cut a tree trunk in cross-section and you look inside, you can see these growth layers, right? Which represent years of growth of the trunk of the tree. There's actually a field of scientific study called dendrochronology, where you can reconstruct time from trees and you can reconstruct historic events from the way that trees grow. Well, what you may not know is that bones and teeth actually also record time. And they do it in a similar way, through layers of growth. So one of the most exciting things I have to tell you today is that teeth have tiny clocks inside them. Inside of each one of your own teeth, there is a record of your growth, which began actually before birth and continued through your entire childhood and your adolescence. So there are little time recorders locked inside our mouths, not only our mouths, but in other primates and in other mammals and in other vertebrates. So there's this really intimate record of growth and development that we all contain inside of us. Not only do we record days of growth, we record years of growth, and we span the spectrum between. We have evidence to suggest there are 12-hour rhythms that are locked inside our mouths, daily rhythms that are locked inside our little hard tissues. There are rhythms that are nearly weekly. There are seasonal rhythms in the chemistry of our mouths, and there are also yearly rhythms locked inside our teeth. So these are really powerful ways of understanding development, rates of growth, and absolute periods of time in the past. We can use these little lines inside of our teeth to get at some really interesting questions, which I'll explore with you today. If that doesn't impress you, this should. You have a birth certificate in your mouths. Each one of you that still has your permanent first molars actually has a record of your own birth inside your mouths. This is a very powerful way of getting at growth and development, because we have an absolute benchmark now that'll link our development to our chronological, our actual age. What does this look like? It looks like this tiny little stress line inside a tooth, and I'm going to take you through interpreting this type of an image in a minute. But this is a physiological record of an event that happens to an individual, which is fossilized as we're growing our teeth. We're forming little fossils in our mouths, and little Anna up front is doing a lot of work right now to form a lot of little fossils in her mouth. And that little record is intimately locked inside. It doesn't modify, it doesn't change with use. It may wear away, but it certainly doesn't remodel in the way that our bones remodel. So we have these records of our birth. We have chemical records of our diet changing locked in our mouth. We have evidence that when we are injured, when we get sick, that causes a stress, which actually is recorded as we're growing our teeth. There's some evidence to suggest that even psychological trauma can be manifest as little growth markers in our teeth. And then there's other studies that suggest, particularly in monkeys, parturition, or the experience of bearing a child, can be so stressful for a developing monkey that actually can be registered as well. And then finally, for individuals that didn't reach adulthood, if that individual dies, that event is the last record, right? So we have this really powerful time recording process going on as we're growing and developing, which can help us to understand growth processes in the past.